All right, so we're here for always level one playlists on Roll for Mastery, and I will apologize to the five fans that we have for not having more videos recently for um, Roll for Mastery because Julie and I have just taped it off. It wasn't intentional; it just kind of happened scheduling. But she and I are going to be working on a few things coming up, and a wicked reflection in my eyes. Working on a few things coming up. Hopefully, we'll get a couple things created this weekend. I got a couple of videos coming up, I think, first Wednesday of March for the Always Level 1 playlist with Pastor Steve. Um, I think I might have another one pending with Caleb. I'm not sure for April. If not, this here will be our April. So we'll chat here for, I don't know, 45 minutes, hour and a half, however long it kind of organically happens. I know that all three of us have a little time set aside for this tonight. So as I do, I reached out to both of you specifically, and a couple other people, the players in my games that I DM for Dungeons and Dragons First Edition, and I said, hey, let's sit down, let's have a chat. And I proposed a few ideas. I had what, 4 or 5 bullet points, right? I said, what do you think about these things? And both of you, without much hesitation at all, a pretty quick response said, I want number one. And I said, okay. Hey, Artie, would you be okay if Rin joined us? Hey, Rin, would it be okay if Artie joined us? And you both said, sure. So here the three of us are. So the topic in broad spectrum was the use of role-playing games, and in our case specifically D&D, in therapy, or just more generically, how it can be therapeutic. Because I don't think any of us have used it in therapy. I'm not a therapist. I am far from being qualified from such. Um, Although as I'm a pretty decent listener, I like to think, as Rin will tell you, but I'm not a therapist or a counselor. So I don't know. I don't know how that works out. But I'm trying to scroll through back here and see how I actually phrase that. If it'll only take me but a second or two, otherwise we're going to move on. But in the meantime, Artie was blowing us up here on YouTube videos on how it can be used, in a therapeutic sense, or at least a tutorial. I don't want to say tutorial, a teaching sense.
Hmm.
And while I think both of you are going to kind of lead the conversation, because I don't have too much to add to it, but I have a couple young kids now that I play in my in-person game on a Friday night, at 13 and 14-year-old, I think it is. 13, 15. Two kids in that range, 13 to 15. And it's interesting to see them learning, like learning life's social skills in life, because through role play, right? And just learning that, and to see that this one boy um, who has, I'll say, taking a liking to us as a group. It started with hi, and the kind of little awkwardness to him. I'm so and so, and he sit down and he kind of new to role playing and gaming and such. And then as time has progressed here over the past couple of months, like he's embracing everyone when he arrives, or at least before he leaves, and everything, and much more social interactive. And of course, now he loves that he has someone there his same age too, so that also helps a little bit. Enough so that I generally have to keep them apart so they don't get too distracted, and they can kind of focus a little bit on the game. But all right, so the question I had posed to you guys was, actually, it's number two: how D&D can be therapeutic and is actually used in therapy. Okay, so I phrase it just like that. So let me turn to you, Rin. I've had you on this playlist once before. We talked about LARPing and the synergistic effect, or the synergistic ways, or things that kind of can tie into D&D. So for the, other than the five people who watch that, they may not be watching this. So assume for a moment we have new people who are going to watch this video. Take a minute if you would, tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself if you will, to whatever extent you desire.
Hi there. My name is Ren. I have been playing 1E for, gosh, has it been about,
About a
I know
year,
it's been over a year now.
maybe
And
14 months.
honestly, I have fallen in love with it. And honestly, it's become such a special interest in me. And it developed into my LARP passion and just overall made my social circle so much more genuine and bigger and introduced me to so many wonderful people. But one of the things that I definitely uh, was intrigued about with this particular topic was the therapeutic aspect of it, because I personally have been struggling with mental health for about 20 years, give or take. I have been in and out of therapy for the long run. I've had therapists, I've had psychiatrists, I've even been in programs like an IOP. And so that's something very special to my heart. And mental health is such a vast and very important aspect that not a lot of people realize just how intrusive it is. And it's just something that combining two special interests for me was something that was the perfect spark because there's just something so special about D&D and the way that it makes people comfortable and makes people better, like therapy, is just beautiful.
All right, and I have a couple. You caught my attention on a couple of things. I want to try to. I'm writing things down so I don't because I forget.
Okay.
So we can circle back around to them. All right, so Artie, I'll turn the mic over to you.
My name's Artie. I've been playing with Keith now for what is it, over 2 years
Well,
now?
I was going to say about a year and a half. I want to say it was like August or October of
August or
with Minds of Fandelver. So that's something. It's about a year and a half. Could it be two and a half?
okay,
Could
year
it
and
be 2.5 already? I don't think. No, it can't be.
no.
No,
Well, I don't
no.
know. It's time's been flying. Time flies when you're having fun,
Well, because I think I went to that. I'm not sure if I started my Sunday night game before or after I went to Friday night. I think it was before. So yeah, maybe it has been a couple of years because Rin and I have been playing, like we said, for over a year and a half maybe, without breaking on the count. So yes, maybe it has been a couple of years,
I think it's
or two and a
yeah.
half even.
So started off 5e. Um, got when I was playing at the store in person on Fridays. um, Playing 5e, kind of getting into it. It was a nice stress reliever, like after like a hard week at work and dealing with like stuff here and there, like really heavy stuff. It's like it's nice to like kind of let loose and like put up your feet and kind of be a different person and like role play and what else like then got into 1E with you and then playing 1E in person. Then I took a little hiatus, took a little break, got into the Tuesday night game. I was always watching the Sunday lives, Sunday games that you guys have. It's very entertaining. Erica's funny too.
She is.
um, it's just it's an interesting thing. Like so it's a stress reliever, but it's also kind of stressful in a way because like emotionally you can be attached to your character. And I was feeling that on Tuesday because we were like in a den of wolves, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if we're gonna make it out of this. And I was legitimately like feeling like good stress because I was excited, not so much fearful, but I was more excited. So um, I don't know where I was going with that, but like like we said before, I recently lost my brother to mental illness. He committed suicide, and whatever issues he had going on was too much for him, and um, so that was about a month ago, and still kind of dealing with the grief and yeah.
Okay, well and you and I have spoken about this, but I think it goes without saying that that both of us can certainly empathize and sympathize, empathize with you, sympathize for you. Ren having mentioned about her struggles and such,
Mhm.
and I won't get into my personal issues. I just will choose not to do that certainly on camera. Um, but nonetheless, so oh, sorry, I'm actually messaging. Okay, so I want to circle back around to Ren here for a moment. You had mentioned about LARPing, and we talked about that before. And the ladies and I, on Sunday night, we know how much you enjoy that. You love it, and you actually travel halfway across the country to go LARPing for days or a week at a time or something. So, prior to us playing on Sunday night, had you explored that avenue at all?
Absolutely not. While I was in the cosplay field and enjoying cosplay at the time, I I had an interest in it, but I never really considered it. It wasn't until there was one day that I was just really wanting to go to a Ren fair, and it was a little slow at work, and I was watching some videos of Ren fairs just to pass the time, getting excited for the weekend, and I happened upon a YouTube video about the LARP. I particularly am going to Heinefall, and I was immediately drawn in. It was became a hyperfixation almost immediately, and it delved into meeting a bunch of different people. I've made lifelong friends already, and I've only been doing it for a little. It would be a year this coming May, and I. It's just like D&D, but it's in person and it's so much fun. We have battles and we get to do quests and everything, and it's just so fun. But it was kind of like a stepping stone because I did do a bit of Dungeons and Dragons before joining Keith and everyone with 1E. I did dabble in 5E as well as doing a few one shots. And while I joined some campaigns, they slowly petered out, and you have the ever known issue of scheduling, and they died down. But it wasn't until I kind of had this more regular schedule that I was able to embrace my nerdiness, and I was like, you know what? I already cosplay, I already play D&D. What could make me a bigger nerd? Let's go with LARPing.
All right, so that is a very okay. So role playing games as a whole is a social game, right? I mean, you can play kind of by yourself and you can play via text and stuff, but for the most part, it's a social game, whether you're on the screen with someone or you're physically meeting in person. As a one-time deal or a weekly or monthly, whatever it is, it's a social activity, right? If you get together with people and you play a game, no different than like playing cards, right? People come together and they play cards. It's the same thing in that social sense. But with speaking for yourself, Rin, did you find that going to LARPing was really stepping outside of your comfort zone from a social perspective? Because you're going out to see
No.
hundreds of people that you've never met before. Maybe you chatted with a little bit on Discord, but you've never really met these people, and you're spending the night and stuff.
Yes. I actually got to meet the very first night I arrived. I arrived at 10 p.m. before the day before the campgrounds opened. So I ended up joining some of my friends that I had just spoken briefly with at an Airbnb, and they let me crash on the couch and everything. And you know the stranger danger story and everything, but they were so wonderful and so uh, inviting, and I talk to them on a regular basis at this point. And I'm definitely like a stick of gum on their shoe. They're not getting rid of me anytime soon. But it was both a natural stepping stone as well as a little bit out of my comfort zone because while D&D you have you are a character and you're making the character choices, you're not physically accompanying them in battle or anything at a LARP, at least the ones that I'm going to. We actually physically will fight throughout the battles and everything. And it's just something, it's making yourself, there's an acting aspect of D&D that is intensified in a LARP experience because you're physically making the moves. You're physically, like, for example, when I happened to poison someone at the last Heinefall, I managed to assassinate them and everything. There were intricate rules where I poisoned their bag of chips by holding on it for at least 30 seconds and giving it to them and watching them consume most of the bag of chips. And that was what qualified me for successful poisoning and everything. So it's little things like that that make that extra magical touch to make it into real life and everything that you don't necessarily get in D&D.
Now, prior to our game on Sunday night, which you got in that game very early, if not from like session one, I think, right? You've been there
No, it was
pretty close to
about
the beginning.
session 8, I want to believe,
Okay, and
because I started taking notes.
okay, so that would put us about 2 months in, and we're now about 16 months into the game, so I'm pretty close. So, do you think that if you removed our Sunday night game out of the picture, do you think you would have found yourself LARPing, or was that kind of a social gateway, so to speak?
That
See where I'm
it
going?
may, yes, it may have turned into it naturally just because I had gone to Renaissance fairs and the YouTube algorithm is always you joke about like that little spy in your computer that's watching everything that you do and making sure your algorithm is just perfect. But at the same time, I know that when I particularly started with our sessions at D&D, I had gone a while without proper socialization. I was talking with my friends. I had friends both at work and out of work, but I didn't have friends that met on a regular basis. And it truly, and as I mentioned earlier, I have been struggling with mental health for a long time now. I had some really bad dips and everything. So, getting a structured routine and being able to break out of my comfort zone, engage more in 1E, learn more about it, and become more comfortable was definitely a push that I needed that made LARPing a lot more natural.
Now, um, you were in therapy at the time you initiated our D&D game on Sundays?
Yes,
Okay.
I've been seeing my current therapist since just around COVID times.
Okay. So that means you were also working with that therapist or a therapist when you decided, hey, I want to try LARPing. So how did what kind of support or what's the word, condoning did you receive from your therapist on both D&D and the LARPing, especially the LARPing?
She was very enthusiastic about me continuing to open my social circle. One of the things that I personally struggle with is self isolation. And when I get into a depressive episode or I have a particular trigger, it becomes natural to me to compartmentalize everything, push everything down, and just self isolate in on myself. And by opening up my social circle and being able to talk to new people, play with new people on a more regular basis, she saw vast improvement almost immediately. I still had some dips and everything, especially since it took a while for my psychiatrist to get me on a proper med cycle, but it definitely was something that she thoroughly encouraged and was supportive of.
That's awesome. And I want to kind of highlight that. Um, and let me commend you for being so forthcoming and transparent with your mental health and the struggles that it has posed, throughout the years. Like you said, some ups and downs, which is kind of typical, or I shouldn't say typical, not uncommon, right? So I want to highlight that. So again, for the few people that we might actually touch here with our conversation tonight, um, like it's okay. Let me begin with that. Like it's okay to have struggles. We all do. It's just to what degree and do we need to seek help or should we seek help and then the question do we actually do that? But and I'll kind of defer a little bit to Artie a little bit more about that as he's had some things recently. But I want to highlight that because what I'm hearing repeatedly here from you is expanding the social circle, expand the social circle, expand. So remove yourself from that social isolation, which can be very easy, especially with the power of a computer and internet, because we don't need to leave the house for anything anymore. My groceries can come to me, my food order can come to me, my medications can come to me. Hell, I can work from home. I don't need to need to leave the house for anything, right? So it's very easy to become socially isolated, and for some people, they like it, like they thrive on that. And while they might thrive on it, it's not it's not healthy to do that. We are, as humans, we are very social creatures. We want to be social, and if you don't have that desire, then something's a little out of alignment there. So the fact, again, what I'm hearing is it expanded your social circle, and you even said, I now made friends for life. Like they can't get rid of me if they want to. So it's not like a casual, hey, let's just hang out for a weekend and never see these people again. You've been talking with them either verbally or via messaging on Discord and text and Facebook, and staying in touch with them and seeing them perhaps one or two times as you have repeated this lopping out there in Texas that you have grown to love. So aside from maybe helping with social skills themselves, it expanded your social circle. And like you said, when you go to that type of event, a LARPing, or you go to your local game store to D&D to play D&D, or whatever game it is, guess what? You're among your peers. These are the same type of people as you. They have the same interests. So if nothing else, at least you have this one similar interest in common, right? So you have something you can bond over. And it's not uncommon, out dare I say, organic, natural, for that bond to then grow because you've already broken the ice, right? And I'll use myself as a very brief example. One of the guys we played with on a Friday night, Pastor Steve, um, he was having some problems with transportation. They'd have two cars, they'd have one car. Two cars, like one's broken. It's a mechanical failure. It's down, and the family of three, family of four, family of four or five, whatever they are, had one car. They both work, and so it created some challenges. So over time here, the past several months, he and I have chatted a little bit. Sometimes on the pastor side of things, I've chatted with him, but also on the social side and said, dude, what's wrong with your car? I might be able to help you with that. And freaking 30 degrees out, and we're out in his driveway fixing his car. So we started with D&D, but we're starting, that relationship is kind of building, starting to expand, and Artie will personally attest to that here as well. Not to put him on the spot, but just with the social circle aspect is where I'm going. So that the conversation revolves around you guys and not me, even though I will talk and talk and talk and talk. Let me turn you over to Artie. Rin talked about social circle, friendships, and I think she even used the word community, which
Mhm.
well, actually, I don't know if she used the word that, but that entered my mind. It is a community, right? You become it's a community. Just like when I had my computer repair business, that was a community. We had the social aspect of different Facebook groups and so on. One Facebook group was just for these group of guys, which started at a convention. We had our own little convention, like 50 to 100 people. That was it. It wasn't this big massive thing. Um, wow, I'm really animated tonight. I don't know what's going on.
It's
I'm
the
not.
therapy. It's talking with friends.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
So you might think I was Italian or something. I'm not. But so and they were always so supportive. And these guys in their businesses were far more developed than mine, far more advanced, been doing it longer, like true businessmen. Whereas for me, it was just a side hustle, right? It really wasn't a big deal. It was a couple extra bucks. It was a hobby that I was making money at. But they were so freaking supportive of the guy who barely knew what he was doing. When I asked dumb questions, it wasn't frowned upon. It was really a community, a brotherhood, if you will. So yeah, so I'm all about that, and I think you see that with D&D, or you see it with D&D, and you can experience it if you so choose. So break out of your shell. Don't be afraid to step up among your fellow nerds and geeks and whatever. You have that one thing in common, the game, if nothing else. All right, so Artie, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to you, and
I
I'll
was
let you,
thinking,
I'll let you expand on that or go into a different direction. You mentioned about the stress relief, kind of the escapism, so to speak. So let me turn it over
mhm.
to you.
So there, it was interesting. Like, I, I believe Ren was talking about like breaking through or getting started. And I remember looking online and trying and going to the Ashland store and trying to figure out like, oh, when is the game gonna start, or like when are they meeting? And I remember going to my like first session, and it was like a one shot. Julie was DMing, and I just remember sitting down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's happening. It's really happening. Like, and I had all these books and like miniatures and everything, and I'm like, wow, it's gonna happen. Like, and then now I'm like, oh, this is like, it's still, I still get that feeling once in a while, like just when I was in person, but online, I also I get that feeling as well. Definitely got that feeling this past Tuesday.
Oh my God, because
I did.
they were blowing up Discord on Monday, trying to like formulate their plan
Mhm.
and discussing amongst themselves, kind of creating the anticipation for Tuesday night. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we were really like we're in such a bind. Like it was such a bad situation that we got ourselves in. We were like in the enemy's camp, sitting around the campfire, and we are just like, do you guys have anything to trade? And they're like, I don't know. What do you have to trade? What do you have to give us? And then it's like, uh,
Nothing.
I don't know. Like, uh, I don't know. Like, and then, and then there was like, yeah, it was just there was so many shenanigans. It was like
So,
I don't have no idea how we made it out. We
so
were so lucky.
in short, what happened there was the past several nights they were while camping out, sleeping, they were attacked by some gnolls. They then found the base camp of the gnolls and said, "Oh, let's go check it out." And they somehow infiltrated the camp, made their way in, making friendlies, having dinner, so to speak, with no real plan as to what they were going to do or how they were going to safely escape being outnumbered 2 to 1. Yeah. So that's what that was. And I have to say, while I can't pin it on Artie, I'm seeing a pattern in the games that Artie plays. Because the same thing had happened on a Friday night, where
It,
they traveled from point A to point B to the bad guy's lair, made their way in, and had no way to get out and no way to get
you
back to
know,
town. Nothing. No plan at all.
that was
Anyway.
that was completely different people though. Like,
Yes, it was.
hey,
Okay,
I
so
mean,
yeah, so
the
it's
different people,
valid.
but who's the common denominator?
correlation does not prove
True,
causation.
but it is a valid tactic to Leroy Jenkins the F out of everything. So go big or go home.
Well,
I'm sorry,
that's
Artie. Go ahead.
you're good. And I was also thinking about like you had mentioned the young kids and how you're like watching them, Keith. You're watching them kind of grow in their social like skills, and that's another aspect that. Uh, and I sent that video about the book tabletop role playing therapy, a guide for the clinician game
Hmm.
master, and I am in no way a clinician or licensed therapist, so I'm just like I'm not going to try and run one of these games or dissect it, but I thought it was interesting that these I can see it too. It's like the social skill building and also communication. It helps with communication and building communication skills because right now, like our group on Tuesdays, we're just like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Let's do this. Oh, I kind of want to do this, but I don't know. So we're kind of like, we're figuring out how to communicate right now. Like I'm sure you can attest to that, Keith. we're
So yeah,
we're trying to figure it
and on
out.
Tuesday night we have all adults playing. There are no children at all. I think our youngest heck might be Julie or Artie. So with 30-ish is the youngest. Okay, going on up to 50s. So everyone has social skills, right? We all know how to communicate, personally and professionally. That's not the issue. The issue is you have 5 people who only know each other essentially this much, right? They've only worked together but so much, and they're kind of learning how to work together as a team. So, team building, bullet point, team
Team
building.
building, here.
Okay,
Team
so
building.
bullet point communication skills, bullet point team building. So it kind of teaches that. So that's my 2 cents on that, Artie, to clarify that for you.
Yep. Yep. It's definitely team building and working alongside and learning when to like. learning to take someone else's perspective and like seeing how they see things, whereas like you probably see it a different way, but then and that's also like when you're role playing, and if you're role playing a character that you would never really role play, like if you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna play a cleric, or I'm gonna play a magic user, and I'm playing a magic user, and I'm normally a cleric or a fighter of some sort, but I'm like, oh, let me try magic user and step out of my like comfort zone and see how that works. But it's it's interesting to like because my character is so squishy, I have to be more careful. But then again, I'm more Leroy Jenkins and like let's just cause chaos.
So when he says, what do you call yourself? Squishy? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Squishy, yeah.
So for those who might be familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, particularly First E, Artie is playing a human magic user first level. So he has an armor class of 9, and it goes from 10 being the worst down to negative 10, and he's at a 9, positive 9. And he has a whopping 4 hit points, which means any single blow from any weapon could possibly kill him. And he's not amongst equals.
Mm-mm.
Okay, the other characters are level 2 to 4. So some of these guys have like 20 hit points, and he has 4. So so yeah, so he's as a character, he needs to figure things out. Needs to figure things out. Okay, so what I heard there from you, Artie, really building off what Rin had said, but communication skills, right? And of course, communication skills, team building, generalized or more broader social skills, and I kind of when you were talking, it clicked in my mind while you didn't say it, but empathy,
Yeah.
because as you through the actual role play, because your character, well, first of all, you're relating to your as a player, you're relating to your character, you're relating to the other players at the table, you're relating to the other characters, and while what happens in character doesn't have a real world effect directly, right? Your character dies, not a big deal, make a new one, start again. The character has a bad day or does something silly, not a big deal, start again. There's always next week,
Hmm.
kind of thing. Like, it's okay, it doesn't have a real life impact, but what you pull from that is you do, especially as a younger person, you do learn empathy. Empathy,
Hmm.
being able to relate to what that other person, player or character, is experiencing.
I have an example for that because it actually like legitimately felt it. So when we had gotten out of the camp and we finished off that battle with the ogre and the other knoll, and we were like setting up camp away from that area, and we were safe relatively. I remember role playing as my character, and I was apologizing to Thelinda, and I was like, Thelinda, I am so sorry that happened. That I may have eaten some of your
Oh,
relatives.
okay,
I
okay.
didn't.
So
Yeah.
what he's talking about is when they were in the knoll encampment. The knolls were fireside, and they had meat on skewers, and they were roasting the meat. And he says, "Here, do you want to try it?" And one of the characters says, "Sure, I'll try it." Takes a few bites, and Artie's character, Zorthak, says, "Sure, I'll try it too." So he tries it. Now he's a human as a character, okay? And then the bad guy, the Knoll, comes over to him and says, "Hey, guess what? You're eating an elf." And there are elves. He has friends who are elves in the party.
In the party.
And Thelinda, who he's referring to, when she heard that, it's like, "Stop eating my people," because she's
Hmm.
elf or part elf or something. So that's what, to give context, that's what he's referring
Yeah. Yeah, I should have gave context beforehand, but I was also
to.
like, yeah, it's kind of like cannibalism. I don't know. That's a little iffy issue right there, but it was like I did feel empathy for Belinda because you had portrayed her as being very distraught and perturbed about that fact that we were like eating part elf sober. Like I was like, oh man, like I actually was feeling sorry for that, and I was like
And
accepting
while
it.
she may have a gambling problem, depending on how you define that, she is kind of poised and refined. proper etiquette. She dresses nice and won't stay in the sleazy little, inns that they been staying at. She said, "I'm not staying here. This is not good enough. I'm going to go over there and stay there." So, it makes it more understandable why your character, all the more why they'd feel bad, right? She's all poised and refined and elegant, and here you guys are like rah, 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 nom, 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 nom,
Yeah.
and eating on her bloodline essentially. Especially when she had said, "Hey, I want to go to this area because I need to try to find my family," and here you are eating. Yeah, see, Rin? Yeah, exactly.
And I'm also feeling bad that we were like, yeah, we're just gonna go camping in the woods, and we just like totally blew off like the idea of looking for her family. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, we probably should have like been like, hey, Linda, what do you want to do? Instead of let's go camping.
All right. So communication, team building, social skills, and empathy. Um, let me change directions just a little bit. I have a question, Rin. You used a couple abbreviations that I'm not familiar with. What is IOP?
So it stands for Intensive Outpatient Program.
Okay, okay,
Basically, it is I'm doing a virtual group therapy 3 times a week for 3 hours each, and then I have a personal therapist on top of that. That is not including my personal therapist that I've been seeing uh, from all the way from COVID and my psychiatrist. So I'm doing roughly 10 hours of therapy every week. It is it's an equivalent to an inpatient uh, program where you would go to a facility and they would um, treat you and everything. So this is a more free workable situation for me. It's something that I've learned just how much that group therapy actually does help. You also see it and it blends into the group sessions of D&D where you are able to bounce off different ideas. When you are struggling with mental illness, or at least myself, when you self isolate or if you internalize a lot of things, especially if you're listening to that voice inside your head that turns everything into a negative and everything, you tend to focus on what you know and what you think is facts. When you're in group therapy or in a D&D session, you have others to bounce back and forth in the conversation and you get a new perspective of things, and it's a way to not only empathize as you were talking about with others, you're also able to empathize with yourself because you learn how to, if you can do unto others, do it to you. We have personally been create we've been trying to create a way for us to treat yourself like you would treat either your young version of you or treat yourself like you would treat your friend. And it's just been something that's so profound. And just having that second perspective or third or fourth just allows the opportunities to open up. You don't know where the conversation's heading. In D&D, you mentioned Artie that things don't go as planned and everything. So you have to find a way to learn how to communicate as we've spoken about, but also learn how to adapt and improvise. And that's also something that you have to learn with therapy is every day it's progress is not linear. It's going to have ups and downs. What my therapist likes to use as a metaphor is a wave on the beach. It goes in and it recedes, goes out and recedes. That's what progress does. You're going to have those ups and downs, and the unexpected will happen. So you have to learn how to cope, and it's how, like Keith said, it's how you respond to those traumas, to those depressive episodes, and everything that truly defines the mental health and becomes more healthy if because things like self isolation, internalization or angry outbursts are not healthy coping methods. They are coping methods, but they're not healthy. So you want to rewire your brain to adapt and improvise, which coincidentally is what we do in D&D when you're building a story together. You don't know what that other person is thinking. There was one time when I was in a D&D session before meeting Keith. This was 5e. We had a big bad, and we were all doing the final boss. And our bard was rolling high, natural 20s all around, and was convincing. They were talking out of the big battle. They were like Naruto, the speak no jutsu. They were managing to convince everything, and we were about to. They not only released all the prisoners, they were going to let us walk free, and we were all excited. Only for our bard to go ahead and backstab them last minute, and then thus creating chaos and anarchy.
Oh my
None of
gosh.
us knew this was going to happen. So we had to adapt and improvise and continue on with the story. So it's something that your coping skills and how you take on the unexpected is something that you really learn to do in both therapy and D&D.
So just before you said adaptate or adapting, I wrote down adaptation because that's what I was kind of hearing from you. Like you need to be able to kind of roll with the punches, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not. People say it in different ways. You'll see memes for it, um, but we all get knocked down from time to time, personally and in game, right? We all get knocked down from time to time. That happens. It's okay. It's how you respond to that that defines you, right? It's how quickly you get up is defines you as the man, or whatever it is. But how you respond is what makes the difference. Because you can do nothing and stay down, or take 10 years to slowly get up, or you're actually going to do something about it. Like get your ass up, pull up your bootstraps, and let's move on. You know, and I recognize easier said than done, but but the point is it's how you respond to that, right? Whether I go to therapy for the next 3 weeks, 3 years, because this knocked me down that hard, that's fine. But you're doing something about it, right? As opposed to doing nothing about it or little about it, and it never you never really get up from it, so to speak. So, um,
That is actually a DBT skill called opposite action. And it's something that we're learning within our program. And essentially, it's doing the opposite of what you want. Most of us, especially when you're down, want to just give up, lie in bed, sleep your days away. But that opposite action of pushing through the hard ship and then doing something is actually a coping skill that we're learning in
so
therapy.
I would say, people might commonly refer to that as facing your fears, and use the adverb of perseverance. Like you said, you got to press through. It's hard, yes, but there is a light on the other side. You just need to get there. So, um, you
You,
says,
you
oh, go ahead.
you had mentioned something about facing your fears, and I thought like I thought of something like an exploration, and I wrote it down here. It's like a that D&D session that is a safe space essentially for everyone to be sitting down at the table, and you don't have to worry about like someone just because you're amongst friends. You don't have to worry about like adverse judgment or something along those lines, or something like wild happening. You're safe. You're kind of like amongst your peers, and it's a good place to like explore your like fears in itself, like your phobias. If someone was deathly afraid of spiders, that could be something in the campaign that they could use to overcome, where like, oh yeah, there's like a little spider here, and his character crushes it, and that memory of like, oh, my character crushed that spider. It's like, I think that would help someone along the lines, but then again, it could like be adverse, be like, oh, spider, like, I
Well,
don't know. I'm
so yeah, no,
But
no,
at
no,
the
I think you're spot on, because that is more the therapeutic side of things, right?
Mhm.
How it can be used in therapy to help overcome things like that. But again, and this is where the true therapist, not us jabronis here,
Yeah.
the true therapist can make that distinction and know if that person is would be respond in the proper, I'll say, proper way, to that kind of scenario. Being able to distinguish between me and my character, right?
Mhm.
Because some people blur that line so bad, it's they're all one and the same person. But if you when you actually separate yourself from your character and you truly are role playing, then that's where I think things like that can become a little therapeutic. But to your point though of a safe place, yes, it should be a safe place because you're amongst friends. Friends, I'll use that term a little loosely because they may not be friends. They're just people I game with, right? So it depends. But either way, it should be a safe space. And if it's not, then that's okay. That just means that group, that game table is not for you. And that's okay. That happens. Step away. You can find yourself another game table. No D&D is better than bad D&D. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes because we become such passionate about the game. We love the game, and we think, oh, it's okay. Yeah, I'd rather play than not play. No, no D&D is better than bad D&D. So if you don't feel comfortable, you're not meshing, you're not jiving, you don't get good vibes from the people you're playing with, it's okay. Step away. Ooh,
Mhm.
that rhymes. That's my phrase. It's okay. Step away. Um, yeah, and that's okay. And it takes time to find that match. Just like if you're dating someone, right? It takes time to make that match. Hell, that's why they have dating apps and websites and all this stuff now, because you got to find it. Ren, you used another abbreviation here. DBT. What's that?
DBT is, I have to double check the actual acronym. So dialectical behavior therapy. It is essentially, I have actually cheat sheets of all of the acronyms because there's so many acronyms in therapy. So many acronyms. Essentially, there was a person, I forgot their name. Essentially, they were going to therapy and they were unable to find answers for why things are the way that they are. And so they were like, I need some skills. What can I do to correct these behaviors, these traumas, and everything? And their therapists were essentially shrugging their shoulders and going, I don't know. So they found that that answer wasn't good enough, and so they developed DBT, and it's essentially what you do is you have mindfulness. You learn mindfulness of how to observe, describe, participate, not be non-judgmental, accept things. You have distress tolerance where you learn coping, like ways to handle distress, uh, as well as let's see here. Da, da, just ways to an emotional regulation. So these are all different skills that help you master and not so much exist, but thrive in a way. And it helps you go ahead and there's a bunch of different ones. Personally, I use a lot of opposite action. So every day when I want to stay in bed and just ignore the world, I get up, I take my dog out, I go to work. I also started using what's Dear Man, which stands for describe, express, assert, reinforce. So if you are ever at work and are having a heated discussion that is getting you riled up, you kind of step away. There's also the man stands for mindful, appear confident, and negotiate. There's also stop, which is there's just so many. So essentially, there's ways to when you're getting riled up, take a breath, take a step back, and realize, okay, there's the emotional brain and then the logical brain. They both work on very different capacities. The best way to describe it is emotionals is like your caveman. It's very rudimentary. It's very one note. It takes a long like you just immediately feel your feelings. While your logical brain can be like a supercomputer. You can hear, like, you can be like, oh, it makes no sense for me to be feeling this way, but I'm still feeling it. So you have to learn how to find a balance between the two.
Mhm. You were talking about it, and I was thinking, oh, more tools for your toolbox. And if this doesn't work, you
Exactly.
can use this, or you can use that. And that's yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we've been focusing on. If of my 3 hours a day, I have 1 hour specifically related to DBT skills, and we're going over each and every one of these things. So it's very fun. I don't know everything, and I'm definitely learning more. And just it's stuff that you are implementing in real life, but it's putting it down, it's giving it a name, and it's allowing you to recontextualize it.
So
Mhm.
again, I'm no counselor, but I think that's a common thing where they want you to identify, like write things down to truly identify whatever the issue is or whatever made you upset. If you can put it into words, then you can identify. If you can identify it, you know. I guess it. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I know they do stuff like that. There's reasons for it. They have names for that. For having you identify things and label them. Um, a personification, perhaps. I don't know. All right. So now, Artie, earlier you mentioned, because you made a reference to Friday night, like when we play in person, which is different than playing online. But that was part of your escapism, so to
Yep.
speak. So, can you want to expand on that for us a little bit?
So essentially, we mentioned it before. It's like you're kind of taking on a new persona when you join one of these games, and you're not yourself. In a way, you're not yourself, but then your character always has a little bit of yourself. No matter, like I always feel like each of my new characters that I play, there's always a part of me that's in the character that I'm playing, but it's a it's like a hero. It's someone who's like he's he's not exactly a carbon copy of myself on the paper. It's something a little bit different. He's got quirks that I may not have, or something along those lines. And I was thinking about like how the week when I'm dealing with a bunch of prisoners and someone's mouthing off to me, and there's like something along the lines, because I'm dealing with prisoners all the time, and they're kind of like not the nicest people. And I have empathy towards them because I understand like they're in this situation. It sucks. And I have empathy for drug addicts. I'm constantly working with drug addicts, putting handcuffs on them and stuff like that. So it's like moving them in and out of court. So like being around that negativity like every day during the week, it's kind of taxing. Um, when I was working in the juvenile courts, that was like crimes against kids and like parents who are just abusing their children. So that was even more taxing. So like when that Friday came, it was just like, all right, just gonna kick back, drive to the game shop. I'm gonna get my soda, my chips. I got my pizza right here. I'm gonna and just kind of relax and be Gideon Brightmantle, the cleric, who's got a mace, and he's got this amount of spells, and he knows, and he heals his party members when they get hurt. So it also, and I was thinking about it, it's interesting because I have like these memories of our Friday night games, and I have like memories of when we were in that lizard mound and we were like, well, what are we going to do now? We have no way of getting out. So that's like one of those memories that I kind of have. And I'm sure like all the other guys that were in at that table had that same memory. And like everyone from this Tuesday game, like this past Tuesday, I'm sure they're all going to remember that. And when you meet other people who like play D&D, you're going to be like, well, man, we were in this sticky situation. So you're kind of like, you got little war stories to like
Yeah.
bounce off. And like, you have this experience with with other people that no one else really knows about, and it's fake experiences, but
And,
in a way it's not so fake because it's like you're still feeling that way emotionally. I don't know.
and it's easy to share that story, if you will, that war story, right? That experience you had, um, in part because it was, whether it was good or bad, you had fun with it, right?
Mhm.
And it's easy to share because you're sharing with people who are in that larger social group of role-playing games, right? The real big of role-playing games, the big of Dungeons and Dragons. So they understand, they can relate, and they eat it up like you do too. And everyone always has that story to share. Some more colorful than others, but we can all relate to that story that they're telling because we play that same game. So again, it's the social. It's such a social game, to the point where, like, I don't know how or why really you play via like messaging or text or letter or something. I don't fully get it, but I guess some D&D is better than no D&D. I don't, anyway. So, but yeah, I agree with Artie. Like, it can be used for a sense of, escapism. Some people really need that. Yeah, Friday night, Tuesday night, Sunday night. Yeah, I'm here in the office here by myself. My wife's on the other side of the wall or out. And for a few hours, I get to play. Like you said to me tonight, oh, go have fun playing with your friends. So I get to go out and I get to play, right? I mean, we're all kids inside. We all like to play. Our type of play changes. Our toys change as we get older, but we still want to play. And we like to play with other people. So, yeah, so for those few hours, I get to forget about all that stuff. I don't have to worry about my stack of papers I have over here that I need to file, the bills I have to pay. All that melts away for a few hours. It really does. And I get to just play and be social and talk and have fun and so on. To the point where I always encourage the ladies on Sunday and the guys and gals on Tuesday, hey, why don't you sign on a few minutes early and we can talk, we can socialize. It doesn't really happen. I don't know why. I guess they don't really like each other, uh, but like,
We're working on it.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Calling
like,
us out.
but
Oh,
start time is like 7 o'clock on Tuesday, and they're rolling in at like 6:58. So
you know
anyway,
what? This Sunday, I'll be on early.
all right. Well, even if it's just you and I, sure. And almost always on early. I tell you guys, I usually I'm on 20 minutes early or so, kind of get myself set up, so to speak. But nonetheless, that's a little sidebar. Um, okay, so we're at about an hour mark, 57 minutes. So let's do this. Let's end this video. Okay, we'll stop the recording, and then we'll do like part B or part two, and we'll kind of continue because we haven't really touched upon, um, the teaching aspect. How, we talked kind of heavily how it can be therapeutic, right? Which is really what you guys want to talk about. Rin shared a lot with her personal, aspect of that. But there's also the flip side of that. What about like in a teaching perspective, right? Because teachers use this in school. Like, this is like the club after school, or even during school sometimes. So it's used there as well. And again, I am no way qualified to be, a therapist, but I can teach. I'm not really a teacher, let's be clear. But, I can teach you how to play the game. And, in one of the videos, already shared, a quick little tangent here, or tangential to that, was, a TED talk by a teacher who
Mhm.
used D&D during the school day for kind of select kids, right? Maybe troublesome kids, or kids who had some social issues. And he said, okay, so I started playing in high school and college, and when I went to college and I got past all my core classes, and we started doing like the teacher classes for his degree, he's like, man, this, why does all this sound so familiar? It's like, oh, because that's D&D, communication, problem solving, working with others, and he had a few bullet points. So I like to kind of, with the three of us collectively, not being educators, see if we might be able to touch upon that. And I know that Artie, perhaps there's a little more he wants to share, as well. I would, though, like I was looking here a couple minutes ago. We've seen it advertised a lot on TV lately. Um, how to find a therapist. I forget what website it is they've been advertising. I try to find it. I can't find it. But we'll
It's a
put a link in the show notes, the session notes, to that once we find it. And we are no
is
way
it
affiliated or sponsored with but Better Health or something. Is that what it's called?
Better Help, I
A
think.
Better Help. Okay, so we'll find that. Also, a couple of hotlines we'll
Oh
post up
yeah,
there as well. Um, Suicide hotline. I know there's one specifically, I think, for the LGBTQ community as well. Um, Sexual assault hotline, things like so. We'll put a few of those up there in case anyone needs that. I hope not, but if you do, then by all means they're there to be utilized. So and
yeah.
they, I know at least that the phone lines cost you nothing, so there's no reason not to call.
And it's
So
24/7.
yeah,
It's
they're all 24. I think they're all 24/7. I know the suicide hotline is, but I think they're all 24/7. But all right, so let's wrap up our video here, and we will start again. So for the moment, we're going to finish here, part one, part A, and we'll resume here in just a minute. So if you guys made it this far, we're super excited that you watched this far because no one ever watches it all the way through. They last like 5 minutes and they dip out of our videos. But I'll say this one here and the one we're going to make next are the two videos that I really hope people watch. I really do. The YouTube channel is really more of a video archiving than anything else for Julie and I, and then for the ladies and I on Sundays. Um, to kind of review for our notes from the previous game. It's a video archive. I don't expect people to watch. I don't anticipate that they'll watch. I really don't. I'm thrilled when they do. Um, but that's not why we created the YouTube channel. But this is going to be the two videos that I really hope people do watch. Whether you think you have a mental health issue or you think someone else does, role playing can be very helpful. And again, it will provide some unendorsed resources that we are aware of. I'm not going to say like we've utilized them. We don't know, but that at least that we're aware of. For people to reach out and utilize as well. So, with that said, we're going to sign off now. So, bid you all good well. You all have a good night, and until next time.